All right, one Mr. Joel Green here on the network. Thank you for joining me today.
Darian, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, when I was connected with some of your representation about having you on, it's like, man, this guy has done a lot of cool stuff, a lot of things going on. Like, of course, I feel like in every story, we got to know the origin. What's the origin story of Joel Green? Yeah.
I have quite a bit of an origin story, man. Grew up in North Philadelphia, abandoned home. That which humbled me very, very early. Uh, Saw things early in life that I wouldn't wish for anybody to see or be around. In the house was good, but externally, outside of the home and the neighborhood was a little difficult. I was 10 feet away from a shooting when I was 6 years old.
Mhm.
And I was the only person there outside of the kid that got shot and the two shooters. So um, just seeing a different side of life that most honestly never have to see unless it's in the movie. I saw those things early. Had a knife pulled out on me when I was 9 years old because I was quote unquote in the wrong neighborhood. Two white kids addressed me, and I was hanging out with my cousin in her neighborhood, and um, it just I saw life early. That's really what it came down to, and have extremely loving family. As a teenager, unfortunately tragically lost one of my older brothers. Um, just had to learn how to persevere, man, and just had to just continue to find ways to be focused, no matter what. I had to develop just some type of mentality to where I just had to tell myself, just do it no matter what. And that brought me to who I am today, man. I was able to get a Division I scholarship at college to play basketball and play professional basketball, and now CEO of a company, and my prized possession is my son. So most importantly, I'm a father, man. So that's my story in a nutshell.
Man, you've told this before, clearly. You really, that was awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you see your relationship with your son based off of how you grew up and how you want that to go?
I do my absolute best to to shield him, man, from some of the things I had to go through. Not to block him from difficulty,
Mhm.
but in the ways I had to experience it. I try to teach him some of the same lessons that I learned, many of the same lessons I learned, because they made me who I am, and I love who I am. But in a different way, I try to teach them to him. So he's better off, let's say, residentially than I
Yeah.
was growing up. But at the same time, I'm still teaching him how to be humble. Whether that means taking him back to my old neighborhood, which I've done, or you know, having us do community work, different things like that, to where he still can get the same lessons learned, just in a different way. So for me, man, it's so important for him to know those things, to have that common sense,
Yeah.
which apparently I've learned over time isn't as common as we think, among people. But that's how I operate, man, as far as coming from things as a parent.
Yeah. How do you, teaching humility and humbleness is interesting. How have you, I know you said you take your son back to different places. How do you breathe that into your son? How do you do that with other people too that you meet to convey this sense of humbleness, humility? Because sometimes I think that's somewhat lost in today's culture about that. 'Cause so much of kind of this social intoxication is you're the celebrity in your own life, and it's all about me, 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 me. How do you convey that?
Within myself, man, I'm just relatable. I do my best to just
Mm.
relate to people, man. I'm not high-minded, number one. I'm very religious, and that's one thing. Humility is a big part of me
Mhm.
being a Christian.
Yep.
And so I thank God every day for what I have. And by just thanking God for what I have, just me being grateful, period. Being grateful always reminds me that I didn't always have what I have. And that spirit of gratitude within me, man, it keeps me naturally humble.
Yeah.
And I just go about that as I speak with other people. I'm never too, you know, uh too busy to help somebody.
Hmm.
If I'm naturally busy or actually busy, okay, yeah, it's hard for me to do it. But if I'm right there and I have the time to do it, that's even if I don't know you,
Yeah.
You're not below me. Nobody's below me. It's just I'm so grateful, man, to where it just that right there just keeps me humble, man.
Yeah. I mean, what have you noticed about your growth as a person as you've aged from, like, let's say when you started playing basketball in Division One to where you are now? What's changed the most about you?
Um, how I go about things.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is I assess things a little bit more now, as opposed to impulsively just doing things. So yeah, man, that's probably a thing for a lot of people as far as the growth factor, but I know that's something I've recognized to where I still have to contain it sometimes as far as
Mm.
my excitement. If I have excitement on various areas, I want to kind of
Yeah.
do them all. But at the same time, I have it more under control now to where it's like, nope, you know what? Dive in on one, then tackle the next, or at least get this one going, and then you can begin going over there. Um, I speak to entrepreneurs often, so I mean that's one of those entrepreneurial things to where it's like
Yeah.
you're a serial entrepreneur before you even pursue the one venture. Because you have all these different ideas. So for myself, I've seen that area of growth within me from playing basketball and want to do a whole lot of things at the same time. As a basketball player, wanting to get into business is like you don't have time for all of that unless
Yeah.
you have a whole team. And I didn't have a whole team. I wasn't LeBron James to where I could hire
Right.
a management team. So that's been a great area of growth for me, where I'm still growing, man. Is to be able to just really allocate my time properly to my desires.
Yeah. And you speak about entrepreneurship, like what's been the most difficult part of that since you kind of gone into this direction in your life?
As my business has grown, it's just been more so the delegation side of things.
Mm.
I've gotten a lot better with it, but initially my business rapidly outgrew me,
Mm.
and I was trying to take it on my own, and it told me the business told me, you
Yeah.
know, just by its movement, this is not for you to handle.
Yeah.
Stop, because it began to be overwhelming. Now, obviously, that's an answer to prayers. Like you want it to be
Sure.
that to happen, but I had to then just really delegate so much of the tasks that I was taking on to other people, to my interns, to the other directors I have on board, and things like that, and trust that I've trained them properly. That was the thing. I had to grow in my trust for others that I was working with, especially for those that I brought on. And what made me really get better at it was I said, okay, if I don't trust them, I'm not doing my job properly
Right.
to train them. So I either step it up in my training of them, or I don't bring them on, or I stop, I cut part of my business off because I don't trust others to handle it. So I just had to do my absolute best in training other people and hold myself accountable for them doing a great job.
Yeah, most definitely. And I believe you do work with Nike, correct? And
Correct.
how did
Nike
that
Sports.
relationship start with them?
Yeah. So again, my company that I'm the CEO of is Pro Level Training, and we partnered with U.S. Sports Camps and Nike Sports Camps back in 2011, right around the time where I stopped playing professionally, basketball wise, and um, that started by way of us just putting on one camp over in New Jersey, and then we were able to grow our pro level training camps across the country. We have about 80 scheduled now.
Okay. And so how has that relationship been? And since, like, what would be surprising, or what surprised you about the relationship with Nike that maybe was different than you thought about, or maybe it wasn't when you got into it?
Um, it's not a ton that has surprised me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was pretty aware of quite a bit. I would say more so enlightened as opposed to surprised.
Mm.
Just it's very they're welcoming. They're
Okay.
welcoming. There's not a lot that's shunned as far as
Mhm.
ideas and creativity. It's welcome, which has been one of the best things that I've noticed, and that makes me feel great because I'm one that has a lot of ideas. As I already mentioned, I have a
Yeah.
lot of I'm creative, so I'm like, oh, how about this? How about that? And so the fact that those things are welcome with this partnership with Nike Sports Camps, it's a great thing because they allow for you to grow, and as they grow, and they allow you to help them grow.
Yeah. I mean, is that something like in your experience, is it common to have that level of kind of welcoming approach to creativity, or is it not usually the experience that you've had with that?
I would say dealing with a major partner is not always, no, it's not that
Yeah.
common. But the fact that they are a major partner and they are that welcoming and open to new things and growth as a whole, it feels good. It's comforting.
Yeah.
It's because it allows you to feel comfortable within the relationship. It's a relationship. So,
Relationship. Yeah.
that's super important.
And so is it beyond just maybe the X's and O's of creativity? Is it also kind of like cultural creativity and different issues and things of that nature?
All of the above, absolutely. I mean, it's inclusive, man, as far as just, again, cultural things and
Yeah.
conversations. Just so again, the idea is I'm big on I can see how people and businesses operate just based off of the conversations they're willing to entertain.
Mm.
And I like that. Even if the conversation doesn't lead anywhere directly just
Hmm.
yet, the fact that the conversation is even being entertained and held, that's a big thing for me, man.
That's interesting because I mean that is kind of a point of contention if someone's not even willing to say, well, we're not even going to allow this, or we're not even going to have this conversation. At least the door is open on some level.
Right,
Is that
exactly,
right?
exactly. Yep.
It may not be now, but at least they're willing to entertain
Hmm.
the an idea for that. I want to
Exactly.
talk to you too about like your basketball playing days. I was a collegiate athlete myself, scholarship, so I know that I wasn't a professional athlete, but I have a lot of memories about being in that life
Absolutely.
during the. It's a very
Yeah,
different existence
it's different.
than
It's different.
the other college existence, I'd like to call it, which is definitely not
Right.
that. How did that
Mhm.
shape you? How did that being in that environment help you grow?
Well, I mean, you can relate to this, but it helps you to balance life, right? You have to
Yes.
balance so much, right? Just like people, that's one thing that again, just the typical student body may not understand is
Yeah.
the balance that we have to have as a student athlete. I'll be honest, we say student athlete, but realistically, we
Yeah.
were athletic students. Like it was
Yeah.
like athletics first. Let's just, be honest.
It's
Your
true.
class schedule was scheduled around your sports practices by your sports academic
Most
advisor.
definitely.
So, like, that's what got you to the school. So the truth of the matter is, it would have been nice if we were student athletes,
Yeah.
but the sport got us there.
Yeah.
So it taught me balance, to how to multitask and how to prioritize, amidst having fun, amidst playing the sport, amidst
Yeah.
working hard, amidst early morning workouts and practices before class, having to still be fatigued and still go to class and try to stay awake and focus. So all of those things help me now to say, okay, I got to get up early, have an early meeting. I did that since I was 19 years old, 18
Yeah.
years old in college. So those things, whether I directly link them or not, are linked to that time period.
You know what? It's just made me think about all this stuff in my life. It was like, I remember my freshman year and I was like, we just had practice and I had this 8 o'clock class. I was exhausted. Like in the class, just put my head down.
Is
And
that I've done
right?
it.
You've done that, right?
I've done it. I've
And the
done it.
professor takes me out of class. She goes, I totally get it. I know what you're going through. And she actually excused me from class, just like, this
That's
is
great.
way different than everybody else in here.
Mhm.
Like, it's like you have a
That's great.
job, like, and it's like
Job.
never ending.
It's
It's
a job.
like,
And now, I'm so proud of the growth of the
yeah,
NCAA with now allowing collegiate athletes to be paid,
yeah, the
because
NIL.
that was
Yeah,
something we would bring up when we were there. And it's been, what, close to 20 years since
yeah,
about 15 or so years since I've graduated. And we were saying it then because we would walk through the student centers and we would see the this is an actual situation that happened. We were walking through one of the student centers, me and a couple of my teammates, and a couple guys are playing probably PS, I don't know, something at this, probably
yeah,
PS2 at the time, who knows what.
yeah,
But they call us over like, hey, come here, come here. And We go over there and they're playing with us on the game. Now it's literally us. It has our number, our face, everything, but they weren't allowed
Crazy.
to put our actual names on the video game. They looked just like us, had our stats, had our
Yeah.
height, weight, everything, our hometown. They actually had our actual hometown, everything. This is on the EA Sports game. So we were like, man, we're on video games. They're selling our jerseys in the student store, in the
Yeah.
bookstore. We get nothing for this. But we're bringing all of this ESPN, this media attention to the school. And so I'm happy that athletes are able to be compensated now because, like you said, it's a job.
It's a job.
It's a job.
Like no one, unless you're around other athletes, no one understands what you're doing. Like it's so extraordinarily different from the college experience that other people are having. They just, I mean, I remember I was literally out all day. Like, it's not like I had all this time on my hands.
Right, right,
It's like,
right. I mean,
like, oh,
seriously,
where was
that's
the time? It was like literally scheduled by the minute over and
yep,
over. I was like, oh my goodness, it's
exactly,
crazy.
exactly. Yep. I mean, that's I've had other students. I've even had other faculty. I wish I had more teachers like you had. I did
Yeah,
have a couple of those that really
yeah,
I had quite a few that really understood, but I
yeah.
had others like, look, you're here for free anyway. Deal with it and this and that. And I had the students saying, "Oh, you guys shouldn't be getting paid anything. You know, your scholarship is the
Yeah,
payment." I'm like, it's not. No, not really. I'm
no,
like, you
no.
also receive academic scholarship money here, and you work on campus and get paid from that. I said, we got academics. We have
Yeah.
sports scholarship money here. When we work on campus by way of all our activity, we don't get paid for that. I said,
Exactly.
so what are we getting as far as on top of our scholarships? So I had a lot of those conversations back then.
Oh my gosh. Used to tell people too. I was like, well, over the summer, I would work as much as I could just so I had money during the year. And I was like,
Exactly.
because I'm not allowed to work during the year. I was like,
Right,
you
right.
can work
You don't
anytime
have
you
time.
want. I'm like, and when I do it? I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm
It's
literally
amazing.
constantly doing this. I'm like,
Yeah.
so I was actually very happy too for athletes with that. It was a long time coming.
Yeah.
And and what you're doing, are you working with collegiate athletes at this point or with the camps and things of that nature, or is it a different high school athletes?
More so elementary through high
Oh,
school.
elementary to high
Yeah,
school. Okay.
exactly, exactly. We have a lot of college players on board to help staff and coach and train. But yeah, for our camps is more developmental. Yeah, literally from ages 5 up to 18
Yeah.
years old.
So this is interesting. I think like what's the mindset of athletes in that age range in today's world? And is college part of that mindset, or is it a different, is it a kind of social media mindset, like get paid through YouTube? I'm curious because I don't know.
Look, well, we sit a lot of our kids down in the classroom at our camps, and as an actual station. So there's a twofold reason. Number one, we want them to learn not just physically but mentally, as well, by just really sitting down, focusing on what the sport is about. Hey, let's watch some film so you can learn visually in that way. But during that time, we also give them a break, just
Yeah.
from the physical activity. So they rotate from station to station into the classroom, out of the classroom, and just keep that going. But we always ask them about their goals. We review goals throughout the week. And so many, just like you said, wants to be YouTubers. Like it's
Yeah.
amazing
Yeah.
how many kids, that's the mindset. It's like, I want to be a YouTuber. We give them all books that they can,
Yeah.
write their goals in and things they want to get better at. YouTuber. Social media like it's amazing.
Wow.
You don't hear you hear it, you don't hear it college that often. They skip that and kind of and go to the pros. They want to
Yeah.
be a pro athlete for those kids that really are into the sport. But you hear digital media
Hmm.
so much, so much. It's amazing.
Wow. Man, that's a big change from the past.
Yeah.
Do you have issues with like, I guess I'm thinking like, because there's people have their phones with them all the time. Is there like, do you ever have issues with people attending camp like not using their phone, or they're so stuck to it, like
They are many times in the beginning of the day, but they know phones have to be put away.
I
So
see.
once they hear that horn, phones are down, unless it's during lunchtime. Lunchtime, you can pick them back up. Same for the staff too.
Yeah,
That's
that's
that's that's
funny.
what, so I tell the staff in our morning meetings. I don't have to say it every morning or anything, but
Yeah.
day one, hey, look, phones can't be on it while we're overseeing these kids. Check them out before camp, during our, our breaks. We gotta go make a call. Sprint out. Let us know so we can cover
Yeah.
your group. But yeah, staff and camper. Even for myself, obviously I have to have my phone on because parents will
Sure.
give us a call with me
Yeah.
as a director, things like that. Only time my phone is truly out is if I'm filming what's going on at the camp, for
Yeah.
social media purposes, for,
Sure.
just to kind of just to take record of things.
Yeah.
Um, but that's really it. So, the phone hasn't been a major issue, honestly, at all.
That's
We're pretty
good.
good at relaying that to the kids because they try,
Yeah.
but, you'll see it day one. You'll see it
Right.
day one. But beyond that, it's not an issue at all.
How do you think things would have been in your college playing experience, professional playing experience, if the phone was a major aspect of it and social
Oh,
media, right? Because you're in
yeah.
that time frame. I definitely was, where this was not a large part of our life, you know?
No, it wasn't a large part at all. I mean, Facebook was this was just after I was in college when Facebook came about. That was my
Yeah.
sophomore year of college in 2004 or so. So
Yeah.
MySpace was just coming to an end, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
Facebook was just starting. It was like, but you needed a .edu to even be on it. So I remember when it
Mhm.
was just for college students. That's
That's
when I
right.
first was on it. And people still weren't really, we were on it, but we weren't
Yeah.
like we weren't, it wasn't a part of our day during that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was just something like, oh, let me check Facebook. But by that time, it's like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You weren't thinking about it throughout the day.
No.
And I think YouTube was created like the year before. So I
Yeah.
remember being on YouTube a little bit more than even Facebook. Twitter didn't
Yeah.
exist yet. There was no Instagram. There was nothing else.
It's wild.
MySpace was the only thing that was really around. So yeah, it would have changed things, man. By the end of my college career, again, Instagram still wasn't even around just yet. But we were on Facebook a little bit more. So within a few
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
by my senior year, Facebook did become, kind of that thing you checked a couple times a day. But
Yeah.
I don't even think I had the app on my phone. I only checked it
Yeah.
on my computer at the time.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I had a Facebook. It's funny to think
No.
about, right? I
Yeah.
don't think I had an app. I think it was like on my computer. I would go Facebook.com and check my profile. But it would have really changed things a lot, man. I don't know. It's a different age, man. Looking at these guys and the girls now,
Yeah.
they do things in sports just for the social media,
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't like that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It feels like
but
maybe it's like almost fabricated. Like, I'm doing this intentionally for this platform, but I
that's it.
normally would never do this, maybe,
Right.
you know?
I'm not a fan of that side of it, because it's just not authentic, and,
Right.
I know me in college, that wouldn't have been me. I may
Mm.
have done some things for fun, like, all right, check out this cool dunk, something like
Yeah.
that. But, yeah, I see it differently now with some of the athletes I've worked with. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of collegiate athletes. But yeah, it's different, man. I've had some personalities on my team too, so I know I would have had
Yeah.
some of those guys on my team that were doing just for social media, but it would have been different.
Do you think that it's helped you, that you, like myself, didn't, or hurt you that you didn't have that at that phase of your life? That, like, you're like, I know what it was like without this, and now I know what it's like to be in the center of the storm of this.
Mhm.
For that, what's your perspective on that? Is good, bad, like?
Could it have helped a little bit more?
Mhm.
Yeah, it could have helped a little bit more. Really marketing myself coming out of college because
Mm.
I was undrafted, so that could have been a greater marketing tool for myself to show footage, to show clips and highlights,
Mm.
things like that. To get in touch with agents who I didn't have the number to, but
Right.
they're right on line already at this point through these apps. So it could have definitely helped. It would have helped. I would have made sure it helped because I would take advantage of it. But it didn't hurt me.
Yeah.
Like I said, it would have helped. So it would have been a plus, but it
Mhm.
wasn't a minus that
Right.
it wasn't around because it I was focused and
Yeah.
so it going along with that plus, the minus along with that plus it could have distracted me a little bit.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I wonder how, do you ever think about the future of this? with athletes? Like, because it's so, it feels like it's rapidly changing all the time.
Mhm.
Like, how do you stay up to date with the rapid change in technology, plus the NIL, plus, you know, kids growing up in a different generation and
Mhm.
relating to them with that, with all this rapid change?
The rapid change, man, is it's amazing because it really, really is rapid now.
Yeah.
Again, people may argue that it's always been that rapid.
Doesn't feel like it. I'm telling you.
I don't think so
I don't
because
think so
I've
either.
heard both sides, and I don't think so. It's ramping up even faster now. Like
Yeah.
we are seeking change at a different rate, and we're and the issue I find with that is, and it's unfortunate, is we're hardly ever grateful for any period of time,
Mm.
extended period of time, and because we're
Mm.
always looking for the next change or the next upgrade
Yeah.
or next update, and it's like, dude, we just got that. Like, can I enjoy it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's kind of like a feature on a phone. Like I just get a new feature, and all of a sudden my phone is asking for a software update. I'm like, wait, I don't need to upgrade just yet or update because I'm still enjoying the way my phone is now. You're going to change things and make me uncomfortable because I'm not going to know
Yeah.
what. So yeah, it's so rapid now to where it's a little, it's a little eerie,
Yeah.
because it's where are we going to be next?
Right.
Oh,
Like, what is the mentality? I mean, you think about yourself, I think about myself. Is the mentality of what an athlete wants to accomplish the same coming up now versus then?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes. Is the mentality of trying to get the best out of themselves?
Yeah.
Yes, because there's so much surface improvement that they look for beyond
Mm.
just true internal. Just I'm going to make sure my result is what matters most. Here's what I've noticed, and I mean this too. The results of the athletes today, they're not of all athletes, of course, but so
Sure.
many. Let's even dive in on the whole social media component because it's hard to remove that. But the results of so many athletes, the end result is not the most important thing. The most important thing is how I look right now. And it's like as long as they get the love on how they look right now, they stop pursuing the end result because they're so pleased in the moment, because they're getting all the love they wanted in the moment, to where they stop working as hard as they possibly could
Mm.
to have a greater end result. Back in the day, it wasn't just about how you look right now because everybody didn't see how you look right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we know everybody sees this right now with a verification. You're
Yeah.
15 years old, you're verified on these social platforms, they're able to see you. It's like, it's as much as you would love to make sure you have a great end result, to so many it doesn't matter.
Huh.
They don't even consider it. And I've
Wow.
seen it. I've seen it. With athletes I've that come to our camps, they want to have the phone and kind of show themselves, and it's
Yeah.
like that's one of the kids that don't even work that hard,
Yeah.
but they're on there doing crossovers to make it seem like they're working hard. Yeah, I mean, seriously, at the Nike
Wow.
basketball camp,
Yeah.
out here doing my thing. It's like you did it for one day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's again, but we didn't have that back then, so
Yeah.
it wasn't even a part of our operating. We operated with a more extended desired end, and
Yeah.
it
Of
wasn't just a today's desired
course.
end. So the mentalities are they're vastly different in my opinion, because I feel like we worked harder back then.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that would be difficult to deal with, honestly. Like, it's like if the outcome doesn't matter, then
Right.
how do you motivate someone
Exactly.
when the
I mean,
outcome is not that important?
that's what I love about what I do.
Okay.
So what most may see as a challenge, that's the challenge that I love the most, because I know it's a challenge for the
Mm-hmm.
kids. It's a challenge more for them than it is for me to motivate them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they have to deal with, like, literally not thinking beyond next week, because they just hope the views this week, or they hope to get the love and appreciation this week, and they hope they kind of get some attention. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, they hope they just get attention
Attention.
this week,
Yeah.
and it's like, stop worrying about the attention. It don't matter. You take care of business now. You take care of business tomorrow. You take care of business the next day, the next week. you will get all the attention you deserve. Right
Yeah.
now, you just don't deserve it. I'm just being honest with you. You
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't deserve it yet. So stop trying to seek something you don't deserve yet. Once you deserve it, trust me, I promise you, I can guarantee you, you will get it.
Yeah. Is that attention? Do you think there's a lack of attention in other areas and maybe the child's life that they're seeking this attention so rapidly, so earnestly? Or maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
It could be, but I dare say that's not, the case the majority of the time.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, that could definitely be the case, to where it's like, if you don't get it here, so you're gonna seek it elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I think it's more so the pressure of the peer
The
pressure,
pressure. Yeah.
the fact that everybody is seeking this attention. I don't
Mm.
want to be left out and also not get views or likes or attention.
Yeah.
So just based off of that alone, even if they're receiving the perfect love from their parents and siblings at home, they can still desire all this other external attention because
Yeah.
they're supposed to get it at home in their eyes. Like they're
Yeah.
supposed to get
Okay.
it. So they don't pay too much attention to that stuff that they're supposed to get. But what about this other stuff that is a bonus on top of what I'm supposed to get?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My friends are getting all this love. I want that too. And that's what, it's a sad thing because
Yeah.
like you gotta appreciate what you do have, and not depreciate that stuff, because it can be so detrimental. But yeah, I think that it's the peer pressure, man. That
Yeah.
obviously we've been talking about peer pressure since we were young,
Yeah, of
drugs
course.
like that and just different
Yeah.
things. But the peer pressure it just looks so different
It
now.
looks different. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like. It looks different, but it operates similarly
right.
on that. You
Yeah,
know.
it's like the attention is what cigarettes used to be for us. Like,
Yeah.
don't do drugs or don't do this,
Yeah.
like don't do that. But now it's like, don't seek attention. Like it's the same type of drug,
Yeah. Right.
it
It's
consumes people.
consuming. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's almost even more effective because it's almost consuming all people. Like it's not like, oh, these are the
absolutely,
trappings of young
absolutely.
people. No, it's the
Yep.
trappings of all humans.
Everybody.
It's affected
Look,
all humans.
I have had to get off of social media. Now, I've done this in the past, but this time I didn't do it in recent months.
Yeah.
Like you can I'll say it now. You can look at my Instagram and see how many posts I've put up recently in the recent months. It's not many. I
Yeah.
had to take a break for myself because I didn't want to be in that trap. I started feeling it. I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
"Oh, let me get out of here. Let me just." I did delete, the
Yeah.
app for about a week because I really wanted to just give myself
Yeah.
my time, meaning being a great father, taking care of business, doing what I got to do. Because I started to feel the obligation
Mm.
from people that weren't even requesting this, and I was acting as if they needed it. Now,
Yeah.
I do feel that my message is needed, absolutely, but it got to the point to where I pressured myself
Mm.
based off of what my peers thought.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whether they think it or not, I can't put their process or what they expect over my feelings,
Yeah.
my expectations, and what I expected myself is to be at peace. And
Yeah.
when I didn't have that peace, I said, I gotta get off of this thing. 'Cause I'm now allowing other people to control me that's
Yep.
not even trying to control me. I put the pressure on myself. It was
Right.
crazy. So I'm telling you, I told myself, post when you feel like posting, and
Yeah.
just interact when you feel like interacting. And it helped me so much to just regain the peace. And I'll begin posting again soon.
Sure.
But it just really, I just needed time. So, like you said, it's everyone
It's everyone.
across the board. It's amazing, man.
I mean, literally all ages. It affects people
All it
from
is.
very young to elderly people.
Yep.
And it's funny, I've gained a lot of data doing this, just talking to people. I mean, I've done almost over 600 episodes of talking to people like this, and the consensus is I'm exhausted by this.
Mhm.
But also the really interesting second thing is I don't want to do this, but I feel like I have to.
Mhm.
It's like this weird
Right,
battered relationship.
right.
It's like,
It's amazing,
I
right?
don't want
I
to do
get it.
this. I don't want this. I never heard so many people say, I do not want to do this. But, I kind of have to. I'm like, wow, you're like in an abusive relationship. Like,
That's funny.
it's
That's
crazy,
funny.
right?
Right.
Literally what it is.
Right. You're two people, like you said, is one side of you is here, the other side of you is here. I get it.
Like,
It's
it's
crazy, man. That's where it's the best thing to do is to catch it. You
catch
know,
it.
like
Yeah.
catch it and realize it, recognize it, because if you don't, again, that consumption it's scary. It can lead to depression and just
Yeah.
different things, anxiety, and all that bad
Yeah.
stuff that we tend to not we don't bring it all on ourselves,
Yeah.
but so many of those things that we encourage, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You know, we encourage various anxieties and depressions to we give them place. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
We give them place, and they don't have to have place. And that's one thing to where I catch, I've written about recently in my book, as far as like I have to make sure in these moments that are maybe that may be spiraling or potentially
Yeah.
spiraling, I gotta be aware. I must be aware while it's happening.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm aware while it's happening, I'm able to stop it. I'm able to catch it.
Yeah. That's right. That feels like that would be, it's also hard to teach like youth, younger people. It's just so
Yeah.
in the moment.
Right,
And it's
right.
like, oh, you want to have views and all these things. I've talked to many big YouTubers and stuff, and it's like there's a level of unhappiness there that's very common. It's like
Mhm.
if all you're doing is posting all the time and doing videos, at some point, I've talked to a lot of these folks, they're not sure they want to do it.
Yeah,
And they're making tons of money and stuff. It's the concept is like, this is not going to give you ultimate happiness in your
right,
life. This has nothing to do with me, like fulfilling meaning in your
right.
life.
And that's what's most important, man. That's what I've realized. And that's where I'm conscious and I'm aware more than ever, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Of
Not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not
course.
perfect. But I am becoming more aware of what makes me feel good, man.
Mm.
What brings me more peace, greater love for myself, greater love for what's around me, gratitude, and just gratefulness. And those are the things that I'm entertaining more than I ever have before.
Yeah, man, that's man, that's what it's about. I feel like, man, you can become online. It's weird kind of a thing, right? You
Yeah, yeah.
become online about your life. And you
Amazing.
restart, oh, okay, wait a minute. I want to make better decisions when you become online. I feel
Yeah.
like for kids, I try to do with my daughters, like, let's be aware of this.
hmm
And like we can talk about all these things. It's like, but what is the decision making going to be based off of your awareness? Because it's one thing to be aware and then to keep doing something that's not great for you, you
Right,
know?
right. Exactly. Completely agree, man. And that's one thing to where I've had to check myself on.
Yeah.
Like, look, if you know it, man, just look, stick to your guns, be strong about it. Don't do it. Or,
Yeah.
don't put time toward that thing because you know it's going to take away from the other thing you ought to be putting
Yeah.
time to, or it may burn you out and you won't have the energy for what you ought to be
Yeah.
doing. Just small things. Just like, all right, if you're aware of it, man, just be disciplined.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you lastly in this, like about your book and kind of the process of what that was like for you.
My book, man, it's a prized possession, of mine. I mean, not just because I wrote it and not just because it's out, but because I know what I put into it. 6 years of writing, I put it that way.
Wow.
Since 2016, I released it in 2022. Now, it wasn't like it was continuous writing, but it was a process of initially just putting thoughts on a Word document.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in 2016, and I came up with the title "Filtering" in 2016 when I was speaking this from the stage. I would mention different things. People, oh, you have a book? Oh, no, I'm sorry, I don't have a book. I would say that so many times that they wanted to hear more detail about things
Yeah.
that I mentioned from the stage, and um, it was a process, and I would have these spurts of just mass writings, and then I would have spurts of no writing.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that I was inspired. So I was doing a lot of reading as well. I was reading 9 books every 3 weeks in
Wow.
2016. I
Jeez,
was,
man.
yeah, I was ingesting so much, and like literally every 3 weeks, I was
Yeah.
reading 9 books. I
Wow.
would go online and I would order about 20 books, and I would just I was salivating. I couldn't wait to get through it. I would
Yeah.
have, like stacks of like 3 or 4, right? And I just couldn't wait to like just get through them. I would take notes on them. I would highlight,
Yeah.
use dog ears, pages, things like that. And I just went through a period of, again, a whole lot of writing. And I told myself at one point, there were a few things that I wanted to write about, but I also wanted to learn a little bit more about. Now, I knew my life experience on those different topics and areas, but I also wanted to get other viewpoints and perspectives on those areas. So I did
Yeah.
a lot of reading. So I took a couple of years to just dabble with writing and do a whole lot of studying. So that added on to the time right there. Then I began to get into a great writing flow, in 2019. I actually started off my book with kind of a quick story, but great writing flow from like mid 2018 throughout 2019. Then this thing starts to happen to where we're hearing something in China and
Yeah.
Italy. It's like, what's going on? What's this in the air? And the pandemic. So it's like I paused on purpose. I said,
Yeah.
what is this? I wanted to include it in the book, but I didn't know how to. So I'm like, I don't know what this is. Is it going to be like an outbreak? Is it going to be
Yeah.
like something like in the movies we've been seeing?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
going on? So I literally told myself on purpose, take a break, still write down your inspirations. You know what I mean? Just contribute to the Word document that you have, which was already a ton of pages. You know, and just take a pause and see how this thing pans out so you can include it. And as I began to see truly what it was during shutdown
Yeah.
and things like that, right when we came out of shutdown, when things opened back up, that's when I got I put myself on a writing schedule, and it was so consistent daily. I would wake up in the morning 4 or 5, and I'm writing. Before I went to sleep at night, writing. I had I think I put myself on a word count goal per
Okay.
day, and that really helped my process. So for me, it wasn't just, I didn't want to start writing a bunch of fluff, but I did want to ensure myself that, I knew overall roughly a word count, roughly for the total book. And I said, okay, make sure you're doing this per day. Don't cut it, don't cut yourself short, or don't even try to force it if you're not naturally inspired. But here's your goal for each day.
Yeah.
I would most of the times I would exceed it because I'm just writing, and it put me on such a flow, man, to where I was able to bang out, you know, 40% of the book within months. I already had about, like I said, 50 to 60 written over the course of probably
Right.
4 years, but I knocked out the last 40 plus percent of that book within months because I was inspired. I knew exactly what I needed to put in this thing. The pandemic was a big perspective changer.
Mm-hmm.
I finished the book. It's the last chapter is called Filtering the Pandemic.
Mm. Wow, man. Sounds like an interesting journey in writing
Mhm.
with that and going through something big, all these big changes in life. It certainly creates a different feeling about things. So, one, I wanted to say thank you for giving me some of your time, Joel. I really appreciate it. I mean,
Hey, thanks for
enlightening.
having me.
Yeah, yeah. I love all this conversation about different things going on, especially with youth and things of that nature. I'm just curious. The further I get away from that time in my life, the more I want to know what's happening now. Because I'm
Right,
like,
right,
I'm
right,
not there anymore. Like,
right.
it seems like forever ago for
Exactly.
that. But how can people get your book and connect with you a bit more?
You can find my book, Filtering the Way to Extract Strength from the Struggle. You can find that on Amazon.com. You can find it on BarnesandNoble.com. And also, you can reach out to me and contact me via social media. I'm on Facebook, Joel Green or Joel B. Green Official. Instagram, J Green PLT. That's JAY Green PLT. And definitely would love to connect.
Awesome. Joel, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks again. I appreciate it.